Up on the block is Britnnee Donaldson.
Okay, actually, I workshopped this in my class today, and it went really well, but I didn't have time to revise it a whole lot, so it's kind of rough, but I think it went pretty well, so we'll see. Fragments of my fairy tale. Mirror, mirror on the wall. I used to stare at my face in the mirror, silently cursing God for making me this way. I would pull my nose to the side to examine the surgical scar there, or turn my head just enough until my right eye shone in the glass. I always thought it looked like a horse's huge eye, masked by blinders, with just enough vision to be annoying. I'd take off my glasses and put them back on, wondering which of the two made my right eye less noticeable. Then I would pull my long dark hair back against my skull to examine the heart-shaped scar still imprinted just above my hairline. I would run my fingers through the grooves and hate myself for having it. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? I'd think. Certainly not you, I'd reply to my reflection. Most of my teenage years were spent performing this ritual of self-hatred, contemplating my ugliness, or so I thought back then. The wheels on the bus go round and round. I remember the way my denim overalls slid over the ripped brown slick seats of the old beaten-up school bus and the sigh of the brakes every time Miss Karen abruptly stopped to open the door for either an Oshkosh and kid-clothed child or a teenage boy with long greasy hair and black school hoodie. I wrinkled my nose every time that boy passed my seat walking down the aisle. Back then, I thought he smelled funny. What I didn't know then was that funny smell was that of poor hygiene and pot. I remember the thump of the floorboard underneath my Skechers sneakers from the wheels beginning to turn again, my feet resting just above the front right wheel. I'd silently recite the old nursery rhyme, the wheels on the bus go round and round all through the town, in rhythm with the beat of the tires. It must have been either my 3rd or 4th grade year, and I rode the bus nearly every day. I remember getting on the bus after school, looking forward to snacks and cartoons when I got home, where my mom was always waiting. The bus was unusually crowded that day, and I was forced to sit with some boys younger than me. They must have been brothers, they looked so much alike. I ignored them, being the unbearably shy child I was, until the younger of the boys turned to me, cocked his head to the side, and just stared. He couldn't have been any older than 5, either in preschool or kindergarten. He asked, "What's wrong with your eye?" I looked at him for a moment, shocked more than anything, and then my throat clogged with the words I longed to say. I wanted to say, I was born like this. Big, telling tears welled up in my broken eyes, and I looked away. His older brother had seen the hurt in my face. He said, "He doesn't know, he's just little." I ignored them both and practically stumbled off the bus in my hurry to get away from the children, not taunting but hurtful just the same. I ran into the house and into my mother's arms. She asked, "What's wrong, sunshine?" I managed to blubber out something that seemed to make sense to her about my bad eye and a boy on the school bus. My mama broke down every time that I did. She cried with me and held me and rocked me like the child I was. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. I was 7, and on a routine visit to Arkansas Children's Hospital, my second home since birth, my doctor suggested cosmetic improvement of my face. Plastic surgery to a 7-year-old little girl is not a clear term. Life is plastic, it's fantastic. To me, it meant pain and agony, and the doctors literally embedding pieces of plastic into my face. I did not understand the concept then, and have thought about it almost every day since, realizing what it truly is. I saw my face at that age as not as a curse, but as part of who I was. If someone asked me, I'd say, God made me this way. I can't say I regret not having plastic surgery, but I remember a long time ago, my mother saying, if she wants plastic surgery, I'll sell everything I have to give it to her, in a hushed conversation with my dad. I realized then that my family could not afford it, and no matter how much I despised my looks, I would never put that financial burden on them. I would look at my Barbies, and I used to want to be just like them. As the years went on, I realized how generic a Barbie doll is. Blonde hair, blue eyes, made of plastic. Unspeaking lips, unhearing ears, unseeing eyes, just plastic. Barbie was everything I was not, but gradually I became okay with that. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. I was almost 15, going through a phase where all I wore was black, black, and more black. From fingernails to sneakers to jewelry to sweaters. I listened to sappy emo bands whose male lead singers had prettier hair than most of the girls I knew. I wrote poems about self-mutilation and wore enough eyeliner to keep Maybelline in business for all of eternity. I decided I wanted a kick-ass haircut to go with my bad attitude. It was time to abandon my straight across the forehead bangs and center part I'd grown up with. The hair that stretched all the way down my back had been in a braid or pigtails as long as I could remember. I wanted a change and asked my mom to take me to the salon. As I flipped through the magazines, I found that the particular style I was seeking was in fashion at the time. I had a good 4 inches cut off with layers all the way up to my chin and more bangs than those boys in the emo bands. What I discovered looking in the mirror with my new do was an added bonus. If I switched my bangs over, they would fall directly over my right eye, hiding my scar and my insecurities. My parents always got aggravated, saying, "Get your damn hair out of your face." I would push my bangs to the side until I could get out of their sight, then let my dark, heavy bangs curtain my imperfections. I thought, I can't see where it's shit out of that eye anyways. There's no purpose. I might as well cover it up. I kept my hair like that until my sophomore year of college. Santa Claus is coming to town. Christmas night, 1995. Had my second grand mal seizure because of scar tissue buildup. The roads were covered with ice and snow. My poor mama, incapable of saving me, just had to watch while her child's life hung in the balance. Bobby Cannon, one of Dad's co-workers, stayed on the phone with my mother until Dad could make it home, with me writhing, mouth foaming, unresponsive to her screams on the carpeted floor. Bobby is also the pastor, and he married my parents as well as my husband and I. He kept my mom as calm as he could during the whole process until an ambulance could get to our little trailer on Lake Cross Road. The only thing I remember from that night is lying in bed with Mom. I slept with her at night when Dad was at work, and my leg began twitching. She said, "Be still and go to sleep," but I couldn't be still or stop moving. That was the last thing I remember before blacking out. I'm thankful now that I don't remember my seizures. They're bad enough for my mom to talk about. They could have killed me. I almost chewed my tongue off that night. It was traumatic for my entire family, and they just felt lucky to still have me. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. That's what Thumper always taught me. Being a newly married 20-year-old, I never did forget that great life lesson. No matter how much I despised my husband's ex-wife, I was always civil to her, even after she came to my home and told me, "I will make your lives a living hell." We had problems with her overstepping boundaries with my husband, from pathological lies to asking for money beyond that of child support. I even asked her nicely to stop texting him when it did not concern the child that they had together. I expected her to respond with some hateful comment disrespecting me the way she had since Wade and I had begun dating, but never would I have prepared for this text message. "You are an immature shit starter. I suggest you grow the fuck up. You have no kids and this is none of your business, so stop being jealous, Britnnee. I know you have issues because your face is fucked up and you look like a retard, but to come between a son and his father is stupid and childish. I know you're jealous of me because, honey, I'm in a whole different class than you, but I understand you don't want Wade talking to me because, trust me, he's tempted." No one had ever before deliberately gone out of their way to criticize my eye, not to my face anyways. I did not cry, at least not right away. I just sat on our brown leather bomber couch while my husband comforted me and told me that I was the most beautiful woman in the world, and that the only reason she said that was because she's jealous of me. By the time that I realized what she had done, I realized that I wasn't really hurt, not truly. I had the guy I wanted, and she could do nothing to change that, so she lashed out in the only way she thought she could hurt me. It took some time, but I'm no longer bitter with her. I've forgiven her, even though she never apologized for that nasty text message. It took a slam poem full of ranting and several weeks to release my anger, but I decided that I was going to be the better person. I didn't dwell on her insecurities and throw them in her face. "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." My mama used to rock me to sleep and sing those words to me when I was a baby. For her, I truly was the sunshine of her life. According to the doctors, I was lucky to be alive. My birth defect, called the right frontal orbital encephalocele, is a rare medical condition that usually only occurs in third world countries. My brain tissue had been protruding through a hole in my skull near my eye socket, causing my right eye to be smaller than normal. The doctors had to perform surgery to correct it, and I lost my right eye muscle, leaving me partially blind. I was a few weeks old. That's how the scars that I so loathed all of my teenage years and the eye I tried forever to conceal occurred. 3 blind mice, see how they run. I was 2, toddling around our living room, wearing nothing but a diaper and a huge smile on my face. I've seen the old photographs, with an eye patch like a pirate's covering my left eye, my good eye. My mom told me the story of how the doctors wanted to force as much vision as they could from my impaired eye, so they patched the one I could see out of, leaving me practically blind. I was a youngster, and not knowing any better, would run through the house at full speed, even while wearing my eye patch. I would run into doors and walls because I couldn't see where I was going, but Mom, being the ever-loving and supportive person she would pick me up, comfort me, and sit me back down to learn all over again. The doctors finally took my eye patch off and gave me my first pair of glasses at 2. They were pink and wrapped completely around my ears. I never took them off, just as I was told. I was pretty adorable, if I say so myself. I smiled all the time, at least from what I could tell of my childhood photos. I was a happy baby, unknowing that there was anything wrong with me. And they lived happily ever after. When my husband and I began dating, we spoke about my birth defect and everything I'd gone through with it. We talked on the phone for 4 hours at a time, discussing life and all the possibilities for our future. We talked about my lack of self-confidence and why why I hated myself for something I could not help or even change, something that was completely out of my control. He told me, "I don't love you despite your birth defect, Britnnee. I love you because of it." I was confused by this statement and asked him what he meant. "You are a stronger person because of what you've gone through. What you think are scars and abnormalities are what makes you beautiful to me because you fought to live. You are perfect." Until Wade, I never had another person completely love me unconditionally besides my family. It doesn't matter what is going on in our relationship, we always talk it out and work on it. Although I have a great marriage, that is not the most important thing that has come out of our relationship. My husband has helped me see my self-worth. From the day he told me how he felt until today, I've looked in the mirror and told myself exactly what he said. No matter what anyone else thinks or says about me, I know exactly who I am. I'm strong and beautiful, and despite what I've been through, not despite what I've been through, but because of it, I don't see myself as a victim any longer. I don't use my birth defect as a crutch to kick myself. I'm a perfectly capable human being with endless possibilities ahead of me.